Surely, oh, great shot. Great opening shot. And a diary.
日記バカがまた動いたのかじっとして待てないのか
She's restless, isn't she? Oh?
2006年
Could it be from the Death Note? The page?
30日のところを見てください東京ドームで死神を確認する
Tokyo Dome
そうしようと言ってるようにしか見えないノートに触れなければ死神は見えないのにどうやって、
Notebooks.
なんで死神の目を持ってても自分の寿命は見えないのかもう一度よく教えて
ノートを持った人間は殺す人間の寿命だけが見えればいい
Okay.
そして死神同士が相手の寿命を見られない
Oh, that's going to come into play, isn't it?
人間同士も寿命は見えない
ノートという言葉がデスノートであるとすればキラである僕にしか伝わらない
Right. There's got to be some clues in there.
まず5月30日の青山の方が本当のメッセージと考えてほぼ間違いない
It can't be from the Death Note, the
し
page.
かしこれではどう思いますライト君
Because they've touched it already, all of
こ
them.
こは下手なことは言わずバカだとしか言いようがないな
ですよね巨人戦でキラに会おうというのは見え見えだし
正直バカっぽいだけに
I believe that's the
ど
point.
う対処すればいいのかわからなくなりました第二のキラはキラを崇拝し
Yeah,
ているよう
that's
で
for
す
damn sure.
我々の作ったキラに余計な犠牲は出さないと誓ったことを信じていいでしょうどこまでバカなのか見えませんからそれとそこまでバカじゃないということも考えこの日記に他のメッセージが隠されてないか
Right.
考えて
Also, don't underestimate Misa just yet.
もし死神という力を持った者同士にしかわからない暗号が隠されていたら私には解読できません
Right. But Light can.
思っていた通りもし偽キャラが捕まった場合ノートだけでも僕が抑えなければ最悪そこにいたものを含め殺すしかない
It's not gonna come to that light. He doesn't know that though, right?
第二のキラが興味あるのはキラだけだ
Look at those eyes, man. It's like a hawk.
当日はライト君のことも注意深く観察してください
Yeah.
これは内密にお願いします
はい
捜査協力していることは秘密にするんだったな大学でガールフレンドが
Whoa. Whoa.
あら
She got so excited.
夕飯は
ホテルのルームサービスで済ませた
お兄ちゃんホテルって何問題発言
人間界で死神同士があったら声かけたりしていいのか
Oh.
どうだろう俺は人間についた時点でついた人間の許可なくそういうことするのはルール違反だと思うが
Oh, okay. I just assumed they could just talk to each
そんな
other.
人はないから相手の死神は話しかけてくるかもな
Right?
僕がキラだと教える可能性もあるってことか
普通はしないはずだが性格次第だ
Depends on the personality, huh?
リュウクの性格は僕の考えている通りでいいん
I
だ
think Rem.
ああ俺は死神のついてる人間を見てもライトには教えないしかしあっちには自分がキラであること知られたくないんだろ
Right. Need a plan of some sort.
僕の大学の友達です
どうも
僕の
Oh, wow.
妹の太郎さん
Right.
東京は初めてで青山とか六本木とかで楽しく過ごしてみたいんだってみんなよろしくあと
Hide in a group,
彼女
right?
も募集中だそうなので
さすがライト君この若者の集団に刑事がいるなんてまず
Right.
誰も考えない
これだけの人数で動けば
Right.
もしリュウクを見られても誰についているかはわからん
Ooh, great shot of Ryuk there. There she is. Yep, that's her.
一人だけ寿命見えてないよ
Ah.
こんな簡単に会えるなんて思ってなかったよ
Rem? She sees Ryuk.
月って書いてライトって読むのか。なんか素敵。
He explained it to
で
Naomi.
もすごいな、ヤガミライト。
Yagami, okay.
まさかキラがあんな若くてかっこいいの。
Yeah.
何もかも想像以上。
She also kind of hit the jackpot,
言っ
right?
てるところあるし、世の中狂ってるね。住所も分かっちゃった。
Jeez.
キラを見つけることができました。テレビ局の皆さん、警察の皆さん、ありがとうございました。
まさか
Look at this.
青山か。もしこれが本当なら23日に投函されていることから該当する。
Ah, yeah. So this really helps out L as well.
この本部から青山に行ったのは松田と八神ライトのみ。
Whoa, this really.
やはり八神ライトがキラか。
キラと第二のキラが手を組んだということ。
まだ手を組んだとは言い切れません。第二のキラは見つけたと言っているだけです。接触はまだかもしれない。
Oh, nicely done, L. As expected.
キラが誰なのか教えるよう呼びかけるんです。
Whoa.
最悪の展開じゃないのかこれ。
Yeah, Ryuk. But it's not gonna go down like that.
相手側の偽キラだけにどう動くか。
名乗り出る。
ああ、こっちか。
あら、お父さんかしら。
Whoa. They're just gonna assume that's the girl he talked about.
ライトさんが大学に忘れた大事なノートを届けに。ちょっと待っててください。どうしても我慢できなくなって、このノートを。
デスノート。
Well, there it is.
死神。こないだ言ったろ。
There it is.
死神の目を持つと人間の寿命と名前を見ることができる。
But not in other users.
ノートを持っている人間の寿命は見えないんです。
So you stick out like a sore thumb.
そこまで詳しく知らなかった。
Come on, Ryuk.
俺。
そして私がエルの名前を見る。私はあなたの目になる。
Wow, yeah.
だから彼女にしてください。
彼女。
Yeah.
こいつを下手に扱うと殺される可能性がある。
Yeah, there's that angle as well.
無理だ。
これ青山に行った日の私の写真です。
Right.
これなら確かにわからないな。
じゃあ指
She's
紋。
good.
その友達は今どうしている？
あなたが殺せと言うなら今すぐにでも殺します。
Yeah.
しかしもうノートから何ページか切り取って隠し持っているかもしれないじゃないか。
なんでそこまで疑うの？私はあなたに利用されるだけでもいい
Whoa.
の。私の目の前で強盗に殺された。絶対に許せなかった。でも裁判は長引き、そのうち冤罪の味方まで。
Whoa.
そんな時、その犯人を裁いてくれたのはキラ。私にとってキラは絶対的な存在。
Is this a true story or is she just kind of acting?
俺を言いたかった。
She is quite obsessed, so it could be
今
the
まで
real
の
deal.
無理なやり方は一応監視カメラ、指紋への対策など最低限はできている。思ったよりバカではない。それにこれからは僕に従うと言っている。
Oh.
僕に会うため、僕の力になるために、残りの寿命を半分にした君の目は武器に。
Yeah.
好きになってもらえるよ。
Oh man. Yeah. Rem's not gonna like this. Okay. So yeah. That look at the end? Yeah. That's all anyone needs to know about this situation, right? Now, Kira himself, like Yagami, has finally realized that he's just hit the jackpot. You know, the audience has known this for a few episodes now. I've known this for a few episodes now, that he's about to find himself in quite the situation, right? once again, something quite substantial and helpful is going to just fall in his lap, right? This is a bit of a running theme now. And, I do feel like sooner or later that luck is going to run out because, I'm not going to say it's frustrating to see this, but it is, someone like Light who has the Death Note on his side and someone so brilliant, he's a genius, essentially. Does he really need all this luck, right? These kind of things just, falling in his lap. But I do feel like this, run of luck might run out at some point. Surely at some point in the series, he is going to find himself up against it, right? He's had some fight back, or not fight back. He's had some resistance so far, but I feel like it still hasn't reached the peak, right? I feel like he is going to be up against it at some point, and things might not start falling into place like they have so far. But as of this point, yeah, he finds himself in a perfect position, and he didn't really have to do much other than just be Kira, right? And this was the possibility, right? In my episode 1 discussion, I did mention that this kind of behavior, it's not something everyone's going to be against, right? Now you get some backstory here. At first I thought maybe she was kind of acting, maybe, but then it became kind of clear that, okay, this is the reason she has such a loyalty and infatuation with Kira, now Light, right? Now she's seen him in person, in the flesh. And he happens to be Light Yagami, this really brilliant, good-looking dude. He's a handsome dude, right? So yeah, she also kind of hit the jackpot in that sense. But that's more of a superficial thing, right? Light Yagami's looks. But the one thing that is not going to really matter to Light, given the type of person he is or his disposition established right from episode 1, Misa's clearly meant to be a really attractive person, right? And here you have an attractive person who is essentially straight up telling him you could just even use me, right? Use me as a tool, or use me for other means, right? But the thing is, Light Yagami doesn't care about any of that, right? He doesn't care that she's attractive, really attractive, or that she's ready to do anything for him, right? But circling back to Misa telling him about the parents, wow. She certainly has a tragic background. Again, but then you look at her personality, it's so bubbly and so happy. You can't help but feel that she has to put that on, right? That might not actually be her actual personality, but it could be. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. So yeah, her parents got murdered. Wow. And then, the trial, it was just going on for too long, to a point where it was starting to, look like that maybe this is just a fake allegation, right? That this didn't actually happen. And then, of course, who comes in? Kira, right? Kira and his justice. In that sense, it is understandable that she has this loyalty for Kira, right? The individual that is Kira and his crusade, right? In this specific case, Kira's crusade, right, ended up aiding her, right, or helping her get justice that the system could not give her. So yeah, right. In that sense, it makes complete sense that she is so loyal, right? And she had this, immense urge to just meet him, to thank him, and to, essentially aid him, assist him on this crusade. And now she's going to get her chance, right? She essentially gave herself up to him, right? That final shot of him kind of, she's on her knees and you see both her hands on the floor. Again, power dynamics, right? She's on the floor and the camera, or the angle of that shot is clearly from Light's perspective, right? He's looking down, right? So the power dynamics are clearly established here. And then in the last episode, they gave me this story about her stalker, right? This man who was about to kill her because he couldn't have her. So yeah, she's had a rough time, right? Again, I think maybe that this kind of always goes back to that opening, right? The opening shot of her looking really lost in life, directionless, and then her finding light, or essentially finding Kira. Kira gave her life a meaning, perhaps. After unknowingly giving her justice for her parents' death, right? So the opening, you could read quite a bit into that opening. Essentially she saw the light in Kira, and then of course the other shot of light reaching out to her. Now again, my initial thoughts on that. I said that there's a potential here that he could use this person, manipulate this person who seems to be lost in life, right? But the thing is, it appears that Kira is the reason she has this drive, right? Kira did give her some kind of direction. So it's been building up to this for a few episodes, and now it's happened. Light has met Misa, right? Kira number 2, who happens to be absolutely just obsessed with him, right? And now that they've met, things are about to get crazy, aren't they? I think things are about to change dramatically. And I'm talking about in terms of the task force L, Kira's crusade. Of course, Misa's life is about to change dramatically as well. In that sense, I do feel like this has a tragic ending written all over it. She is going to be used. She is going to be manipulated. I say that, but she essentially gave herself up for that reason. She's ready to be used in this cause, right? Kira's crusade. That's how obsessed she is. But even though she's ready for it, doesn't mean it's a nice thing that she is going to be or that she is going to be used, right, or manipulated by light. And come on, let's be real here. That's exactly how it's about to go down, right? That last shot, it really encapsulated all of my thoughts, right? Once Kira meets her, or Light meets her, he knows, this is too enticing of a chance or a position to just, not take. And that evil look, they've used that a few times throughout the series, and once Light has that look on his face, yeah. But it'll be interesting to see Rem's thoughts. Of course, in this situation, this meetup, she couldn't really do much or say much, just like Ryuk, right? Both of the Shinigami kind of stayed out of it. Now Light still can't. I'm sorry. Misa can't see Ryuk yet, right? Because she hasn't touched Light's Death Note. Is that something Light might just do to kind of give her a sense of trust? That, oh, look, I trust you, Misa. I'm even going to show you my Shinigami, right? That's one of the things that Light has to do now, and he's already done this by planting that dramatic hug on her. They gave us 3 angles of it. And essentially, it's a big deal, right, for Misa to be embraced in such a manner by Kira. You see just how much that meant to her. In that sense, Light's already playing the part, right? To make her feel like she is perhaps special and needed, and maybe even an equal, right? I mean, she's never going to be an equal, but he might make her feel like that. And, he took the first step in making her feel like that by planting this big hug on her. Trying, show her that, oh, I trust you. I've got you, right? Now, another reason for this is that he might have to keep her happy. Now, I don't personally think she's ever going to do anything to harm Light or Kira, right? But he did, on that bed, he did think, oh, she seems a bit unhinged, so I have to be careful. She could even kill me if I end up hurting her. He is going to end up hurting her, that's for sure, right? I feel like it's going to be a bit of a heartbreaking ending for her, perhaps, or parting. So in that sense, I already kind of feel bad for her, even though she's so hell-bent on just giving herself up to him. I do feel bad for her that she's about to be manipulated and used and discarded, perhaps. That's the sense I'm getting. That's the sense I've been getting long before they even met up. Now, quickly going back to Rem, once Rem and Misa do find themselves alone back in her room, perhaps she might give her thoughts on Light. Though perhaps I should reel that back in a bit. Maybe I am giving Rem too much importance in this. I personally hope she does give her thoughts on Light and maybe shows some signs of disapproval, or not disapproval, or perhaps she tells Misa to be careful at some point. Earlier on, Ryuk even mentioned that this is in relation to Light asking Ryuk, oh, yeah, could her Shinigami tell her that I'm Kira, right? He said usually that's not the type of thing Shinigami do, but it depends on the personality. And that immediately made me think of Rem, right? As established in the last episode, or as I theorized or surmised, that, she certainly, it was clear to see that she certainly cares for Misa, right? I even got the sense that she's protective of Misa. So in that sense, at that moment, the moment Ryuk said that, I thought, yeah, Rem would tell her that, yeah, that's Kira. Though she didn't really need to. Misa had it figured out, right? A bit of a master of disguise in that sense. And even that could come into play, right? Her disguise, her capacity to, disguise herself. That could certainly come into play. They've certainly established that in this episode. And then, of course, staying on Misa, it's clear at this point she's certainly clever, right? Perhaps she's got the street smarts, right? She was able to make sure that she was undetected by cameras, right? Or she had a disguise, and she made sure that her fingerprints didn't show up, right? And Light noticed this, so he sees value in there, in Misa, right? And of course, the biggest of all, the Shinigami eyes. And that's one of the things. She took the Shinigami eyes deal so she could find Kara, right? So that shows you just how obsessed she really is. Then of course she even presented her death note to Light, to prove her loyalty. So she's certainly not as stupid as the task force initially thought, right? Or even Light himself. So yeah, there's certainly that. But again, the unpredictable nature of her personality, she does seem unhinged at times, doesn't she? That's an unpredictable aspect, right? So much so that even L himself was kind of left scratching his head. He thought it was so stupid that he doesn't even know how to proceed. But again, she was clever enough to know that she can make it seem like it's really obvious and clear. But perhaps Kira can read into it. And he did. Light did end up reading into it and ends up going to, that location on the 22nd. But also in that sense, she did slip up as well, right? Because, after spotting Kira or Light, again, he essentially, stuck out like a sore thumb because in this really unique situation, she's not able to see the lifespan of another Death Note user. So that in itself, the fact that there's two Death Notes in play is just insane, right? Insanely unique. But also in this case, it made it so easy for her because he's the one that sticks out the most. No lifespan above his head. So she immediately announced it the next day on television, right? Through this tape that, oh, I've made contact, or I've come across Kara. Thank you to all of you. And as expected of L, he put a few things together instantly, right? He had to correct Chief Yagami and tell him, no, they didn't specify that they've contacted the original Kira, just that they've, met them, or sorry, not met them, that they've seen them, right? Or know of them. So L knows that much for sure. But then, the big thing that came out of this is the fact that it was Matsuda and Light that happened to be on that, undercover sting of sorts on the 22nd in that area. So yeah, they go on that. They're out on that day. Next day, fake Kira, puts a message out there. I've seen Kira, right? The actual Kira. So she slipped up there. And, this showed in this episode. First of all, L was already kind of suspicious that Light is putting his name forward to go on this day-long sting perhaps alongside Matsuda. There's a shot of L, right, in the background as lights down for this. The moment Fate Kira or Misa's message comes through, you see L's internal monologue, right? He instantly puts it together. He was already suspicious, and he even told Matsuda to keep an eye out on Light. Now this happens, the next day. So yeah, all signs always kind of bring L back to Light, don't they? Now that means that L has reason to believe that Light might have been in contact with this fake Kira, whose killing power is even stronger than Light himself or Kira himself, right? He has reason to believe that they might have made contact and that they could be collaborating, right, in the near future. So, and in that sense, things are certainly going to change now that they've met up. Things might change dramatically, right? And L might notice this, or L is going to notice the changes that might start happening now that he has the Shinigami eyes at his disposal, right? Just like he was able to surmise a few episodes ago that okay, something's different here. This is around the time Misa is using her Shinigami eyes to kill cops. And she even ended up killing one of the task force members just by the Shinigami eyes, right? L instantly surmised that, okay, it appears that this new Kira is able to do it without a name. They just need a face, right? So I think L is going to put that together at some point that, our Kira is going to have that at his disposal at some point, right? That makes things really tricky, doesn't it? Now, the next question becomes, now that, Light and Misa are teamed up, or Light has this Shinigami eyes deal in his, at his disposal, the big question becomes, how could she potentially have a look at L, right? That's going to be really tricky. Because L is not going to just allow someone to come around, right, alongside Light. And in that sense, there's another change in Light's life. Now he has to pretend to be in a relationship and say, this is my girlfriend, right? His family knows it, or at least his mother and daughter know it, sister know it. Maybe Chief Yagami might find out as well, right? So is it possible maybe even that news or piece of information might get to L at some point, perhaps Chief Yagami might even mention it, right? Just as an innocent comment. But then L might start thinking, oh, okay. So Light Yagami, like I said, he has quite a profile made up for Light Yagami. So if he is going to be in a situation or a relationship, all of a sudden, that person becomes a person of interest as well for L, right? So is it possible that he might start looking into her, Misa that is, if that info gets to L at some point? But yeah, beyond just the Shinigami eyes deal, of course, him having this partner, almost someone at his disposal, is going to make things quite interesting and quite easy, and make things quite difficult for the task force and L, right? Having this person who can really help him out now. Again, that Joker Harley Quinn combination is clear to see here. I think the parallel. She certainly has that agent of chaos feeling about her, doesn't she? In that sense, her unpredictability is perhaps even more dangerous than anyone as intelligent as L and Light, right? So this certainly introduces an exciting new dynamic to the story, right? Things are really about to shake up. So I'm excited to see how Light ends up using this ally, right? And how things are about to get quite tricky for the task force and L. But in that sense, I'm also so excited to see L's take on all of this and how he starts putting things together. And a few other things. The mid-episode card. Now, two interesting things came out of this. The first one, I believe it said that you're not able to use the death note on anyone that's below 780 days, or it can only be used on someone that is above 780 days. Essentially, you can't use it on babies, right? And the second one said that if you mess up the spelling 4 times, then the Death Note is rendered useless. Now, I'm going to assume that means for that person, right? For that specific person. That being said, did he not use like a lot of spellings? It was at least 20 different spellings, right? In episode 1. The guy who got hit by the truck in episode 1. He was inside the convenience store, right? And he had a full list of different spellings. So I'm not sure if I'm missing something here. And a few things on the Shinigami in this episode as well. Of course, there's that point that, the users of Death Note are not able to see each other's lifespans. And that's the reason it made it so easy for Misa to find out who Light is. And on that note, apparently she was able to buy all his information online. And the really ironic or funny thing she said here is that, isn't the world so twisted that you could just buy all this information? Yeah, she's a Death Note user, and now she's trying to ally or become an ally to Kira, who kills people, right? I thought that was quite interesting, that point she made there. And the same rule applies to Shinigami. They're not able to see each other's lifespans. Now, I found that interesting that they mentioned that. I even felt like, as I stated, that might play a part at some point. Why mention that? That Shinigami don't see each other's lifespans. Now, Ryuk and Rem are the two Shinigami at play, or in the story at this point in time. They are going to, see each other much more now. And in terms of, speaking with each other. Now, this is another thing that has me scratching my head a bit. The fact that a Shinigami needs permission of his holder, or the human that he's attached to. How come a Shinigami needs permission? That's not something I thought a Shinigami is ever going to need, permission from a human. But Ryuk said, in most cases, the Shinigami needs permission from the human they're attached to speak to another Shinigami. So yeah, some interesting things coming out of that one. And quickly going back to, Misa getting all of his information, or obtaining all of his information and his, address and everything. She's bold, isn't she? She goes right up to his house. And even that kind of just fell right into his planning, didn't it? Earlier on in the episode, he told his mom and his daughter, God damn it, his sister, that, I'm late because I have a new girlfriend at university or at college. And then here you have this girl that shows up, an attractive girl that shows up, and Light ends up just, using that excuse, the one he already established. This is the person I told you about. So see, once again, things just play out perfectly for Light. But yeah, she is bold. That's for sure, isn't it? She just showed up at his house. And one last thing, she said that there's no pictures of him, right? So I'm guessing that's got to be, or I'm going to assume that's got to be something Light did himself. Made sure that all pictures of him are gone from the internet, because again, unless he did this recently after finding out that, there is another user of the Death Note, let me go and, get all these pictures out of here. Now, essentially, that's not the easiest thing to do, like, in real life, if you really think about it. It's not that easy to remove all pictures of yourself from the internet, especially someone like Light, who is clearly accomplished, right? Much more accomplished than most students or individuals. She's reading about him, right? And his accomplishments. So, yeah. Surprising to see that there's no pictures of him. So again, perhaps Light Yagami Kira is thinking ahead, and he made sure to remove all pictures of himself. Right then, I think that's about it. So if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like. The likes really do help the channel. The likes really help get this noticed more, right? And then more Death Note fans can find this in the search results, perhaps. So yeah, if you really did enjoy it, consider dropping a like. Takes a split second. Consider dropping your comments. Give me your thoughts. If you are interested in full length for this episode, or perhaps even early access to the next episode right now, consider checking out the Patreon page. Check out the different perks. Maybe something might catch your eye. And also in doing so, you'll be supporting the channel and help the channel grow. And consider checking out the pinned comment. The pinned comment does have the link to the Patreon page and links to my social media. And if there needs to be an update, I usually update the pinned comment right at the top of the comment section. You cannot miss it. So yep, that's about it for this one. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for your time, and I hope to see you again soon. Take it easy.